Is
Can
the
hear you
mic
very
on?
well.
Yeah, there it is. Let's go. Hello and welcome everybody to the BUSR Spring Championship on ACC. It is the final round in Barcelona. This circuit's going to be pretty hot today, and although the championship has already concluded, I think we're going to see some pretty awesome battles today. What do you think, Dan?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've seen these drivers grow and develop over the last sort of 5 races with some sprint races dabbled in there. So they're all now going to be at the peak of their form. They're all in practice. Most of them are already in practice now, pounding laps around. So I think there should be a good fight at the front between these drivers around this very warm Barcelona circuit.
Yes, and looking at the best laps that they have done so far, some of them are pretty close, so we should be able to see some close battles throughout the race, hopefully. And if not, then eventually drivers will get lapped, because this is an endurance race, 75 minutes here at the circuit Barcelona-Catalunya. And I think we're just heading into qualifying about now. Let's see what it's going to look like.
Yeah, so now as we turn to qualifying, the drivers are going to be thinking about how to get that one lap pace out of the car. They're going to be thinking, where can I cut that extra 10th here, that extra 10th there, just for that maximum lap time, as we start to see the first couple of cars come out onto track there. Championship winner Ben Gilroy is already out on track. I'm expecting a very fast lap from him as we see the McLaren of Johansson come down towards turn 1.
And that is Cameron Searle leading the pack at the moment.
He has been flying in that Porsche so far. He's been part of that sort of trio of very quick Porsches at the front, so I expect he'll be hungry to get that maiden race win from the season. He's got many podiums, many close calls, hasn't quite got that win, so he will be hungry for that win going into this round this weekend, as we see him now coming through this twisty middle section of the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit.
Do you happen to know which kind of car this track favors?
It's a pretty medium. Yeah.
Porsches being rear-engined can struggle, I think, on some of these low, like mid-speed corners, probably, where you have to take a lot of the curb.
It is a very medium speed to low speed corner kind of track, hence why, famously it's a common place for testing for different championships. Formula One did their pre-season testing here for many years, because it's quite a medium speed track. It's not putting too much strain, it's not too much focus on top speed, not too much on low speed. So I think a good all-round car like the McLaren, it's a reliable chassis that that chassis has been used now for 8-9 years or something ridiculous now. It's a well-aged GT3 car. So it's got that experience, it's got that stability, it's got that development. So I think it's going to do well. Whether it's going to be enough to catch the Porsches, I don't know. Those Porsche drivers have been dominant all season long, and as we now see, the first couple of laps are going to be started now as they come back down the pit straight.
Yeah,
here we go, down into turn 1 for Cameron Searle, starting his first flying lap now as he comes up through sector 1, up the hill, round the long right-hander that seems to go on forever, then towards the hard braking zone, almost a hairpin. It's a little bit larger than a hairpin would be. Really, trying to put the power down as early as he can coming out of the corner, and there he goes, full throttle, let that flat 6 sing, heavy on the brakes, back down the same hill he only just climbed, touching the curves on the inside, running out wide, using the maximum amount of curves they can get away with without it crossing over into track limit warnings, then up through, back up the hill again. This is it's a good roller coaster kind of circuit. It's not flat as a pancake airfield like some circuits are. And here we come now down towards the final sector as we come onto this sort of back straight, this short little back straight here, before it's hard on the brakes at the end as we turn into sector 3. Here we go, hard on the brakes there as we turn into the left, round the very tight corner that will definitely favour those mid-engine cars with that rotation, up through the quick left and right. Back up this hill. This track is really up and down, this basically hill that lies behind the paddock as we come down towards the last sector. Now F1 fans may recognise this has changed, but GT still run the old layout here on ACC through the slow, almost painfully slow, twisty last chicane before we round out the final corner to get it back onto the pit straight, put the hammer down, get your way to the line as fast as possible to set the first lap of qualifying here from Cameron Searle. He has a 1:45.3. There is your benchmark, drivers. That is your target.
Based on some previous laps that we've seen, that I saw being the best in the practice session, that is quite a fast lap. That should put him towards the very top. where will Ben Gilroy come is the real question, though. He is the championship winner, and at the moment it looks like he's taking a slow lap here, kind of setting up for the next lap. As we did just see a few more drivers cross the line. Cav Bud 6/10 behind, and Anthony Johansson being just under a second behind as well.
Yes, I think we're starting to see the more cautious laps maybe from some of these drivers, the McLaren and the Ferrari there, maybe putting in a cautious banker lap just to set one on the board so that they can almost guarantee not last, before they're really getting into their groove. They're finding where the curbs are friendly, where the curbs are harsh. I mean, they'll know the track, but they're not going to know how they're performing today until it's, they're already a couple of laps in. So we've still got 10 minutes to go of this qualifying session at this toasty warm Barcelona. It is 27 degrees here in the air, which is rather hot compared to previous rounds we've had here where it's been raining in practice or qualifying at Austria last weekend. It was raining throughout practice. That made it rather difficult, but here it is bright and sunny, and I should imagine that'll carry on for the whole weekend.
Yeah, that's what I gather from the information we've had so far, and the track is nice and toasty as well. It will be hard on the tyres. Tyre management is going to play a big role today. Cameron Searle is the Formula 1 tyre whisperer. Will he be able to whisper his tyres well enough today, though, on ACC?
Yes, he's a very established Formula 1 driver. He's currently leading that championship in the BUSR, so it's only natural that he should be really quite good at it here. But again, not all skills transfer over. There are some drivers that don't score a single point in Formula 1, move over to endurance racing and become world champions. So it's not a guaranteed transfer. It can equally go the other way. So it could be interesting to see how the tyres last on that rear engine Porsche. We've talked about it for most of the season, really, that it is not kind on its tyres. That engine sitting right out over the back axle is going to be harsh on those tyres, and that can cause damage. And when you look at it, very, very hot temperature, lots of curbs being taken, especially through some of the middle speed corners. So it's going to be dangerous for those tyres if they wear them out too fast. They will lose pace in this endurance race, as we see the McLaren now climbing up the hill through sector 1 here. Ryan really trying to keep it on that racing line as he's coming towards the bridge for the end of sector 1 now, as we cut back to him from a different angle through the trees there. Lovely shot of the McLaren coming round that fast right-hander, cut the apex, run it back out wide, keeping it nice and controlled for this qualifier lap.
Yeah, he went a bit wide, a bit too deep into turn 1, but he's yet to set his first lap, so as long as he can get the first lap done, then he doesn't have to worry too much. It'll just be about improving the lap from then on.
Yeah, he's like I said
still
earlier,
in the pits.
He's still not set a lap time. That is risky from the champion there to come out here, and maybe he's doing this intentionally. Maybe it's a scare tactic to scare his competitors. Think, oh, Ben's not going to set a lap, I'll go easy, and then I'll go out with 3 minutes to go and set a blistering lap time. Who knows how the mind of a champion works? As we see Cameron Searle crosses the line. Now he is in second place behind Goldsmith in that other Porsche by such a tiny margin that bodes very well for the race between those two. And then that starts in a little over 7 minutes time.
Yes, let's see Cav Bud crossing the line now, and he does not improve. However,
yes,
who is improving so far is Jake Ansel, up about 4/10 on his current time right now, and that will be an invalid lap. It's so easy to go wide on that corner, unbelievably easy.
It's a very easy, and no matter what championship you're in, anything from 1,000 horsepower Formula 1 and endurance cars right the way down to 150 horsepower Mazdas, that corner is always the one you want to push harder. You want to go a little bit faster, run out a little bit wider, and then eventually it turns around and it says nope, you've had it. Off into the gravel you go, as Jake Ansel just found out there. He has shown rapid pace this championship, but also it's mistakes like that mean that he's not done as well as he probably could have done in that Ferrari. But it's a vicious corner, so I don't think that'll be the last time someone runs wide there this qualifying, let alone in the race later on.
Cameron Searle now going through sector 3 here. Currently down in his time, however, it's still possible to improve, although it's looking less likely at the moment.
Yeah, he'll know he's still got 6 minutes to go. He's not going to risk putting it in the wall and then doing too much damage to the car and ruining his confidence just yet. I'd give it sort of 3-4 minutes before we start seeing the really quick push laps now as he comes towards the start-finish straight as you said, unlikely to be an improvement. As he crosses the line, not quite,
no
nothing there. No, nothing there. So he's now going to have another crack at it as he comes down towards turn 1. There's another Porsche there. I don't think it's Ben Gilroy though, so I don't think he's even out of the pit lane yet, which is very interesting for my champion.
It's the Porsche of Owen Goldsmith.
It's Goldsmith there as he's coming round with Cameron Searle just behind him. More than likely a view that Cameron will get in the race is the rear of that Porsche, at least off the start at the current standings, but will he be able to get past? We'll have to wait and see. I believe Ben Gilroy has left the pit.
Oh yes, he has. All people in the top 4 separated by less than a second. This could actually be a very interesting race to watch.
It definitely could be. It'll depend on these drivers. They'll all have a track, but when they'll have received the calendar at the start of the season, they'll have looked at all the tracks and gone, that's the track where I'm going to be fastest, and that's the one where I'm going to be slowest. And if it happens to line up that some of our midfield drivers went, this is my track, Catalunya, that's my hunting ground, and some of our top drivers, you know, Cameron Searle, Ben Gilroy, look at it and go, I like the look of Brands Hatch of Spa, but Catalunya, I'm not suited to that track. Maybe we'll see a very, very close fight here for the lead, as we now see aggressive curbs there from Cameron Searle. He is properly pushing now into that final sector. You know, curbs are such a risk to take here, but also absolutely necessary to set a very, very, very fast lap.
Yes, and these sausage curbs, you gotta just about clip them, but you can't take them. They will absolutely unsell your car. It'll ruin your lap time, but you do want to just about clip them. He took quite a lot of care around those curbs, and there is no improvement on this lap by the looks of it.
Yes, it's unfortunate to see there, but those, like you said, those sausage curbs are vicious. They will destroy the underside of your car if you take them too hard, and if you're slightly more lucky, shall we say, they will just spit you off into the gravel. But you don't want to risk it, because although you might gain a tenth, you can very easily lose a lap, and it's not worth it, I don't think, just yet. Cameron Searle is still going. He's still looking for that quick lap. Ben Gilroy, I think, has gone back into the pit lane. At least our timing chart shows that.
He is in the pit lane, yes.
Very peculiar there from Ben. No idea what antics he's pulling. Maybe
I think he's doing a last to first challenge.
I was thinking that. He's still got that success penalty, which is going to make it very difficult, but also we've seen he has got some incredible pace. He was a dominant winner in Spa and a dominant winner in Austria and pretty much all the other races we've had so far. So I think we may be seeing a last to first challenge here from Ben Gilroy as the ultimate send-off to his so far perfect season. These two Porsches, however, in qualifying, Cameron with Ben just coming around the corner there into view as he goes a little bit wide, but they're both flying through qualifying here. Both of them will be looking for that fastest lap to try and get just behind, or to not be just behind each other for that pole position. Now that, well, it looks likely Ben Gilroy isn't even going to set a lap time in qualifying, which would be insane if you didn't know who Ben Gilroy was or his credentials. Now as he comes through, is he going to attack the sausage curbs?
Currently on par with his fastest time. Owen Goldsmith currently 2/10 up though, but he could be extending his lead.
Let's see if we cross the line now. Cameron Searle, is he going to improve?
And that is no improvement, however. Goldsmith, let's see him cross the line. Did not appear to be any improvement there.
Both these drivers are just chasing that last tenth. They've probably both set down what they would call a good lap, but they both know the other one is too close to let up now. It's almost like we've got a mini race going on between these two, but they're just keeping that respectful distance you have in qualifying as the rest of the grid tries to set decent lap times. Like you said, that top 4 separated by less than a second. Here he comes, Ben Gilroy. Is he going to set a lap time? Let's find out. He's got 1 minute 50 on the clock. He might just about get around in time to do a flying lap.
Bud is massively up on his time, 4/10 up. Let's see how he fares in these last few corners.
Here he comes through that last corner with, like you said, that 4/10 up. Can he maintain it? Put the foot to the floor, get that V6 at the back of that Honda screaming as he comes towards the line.
And that is P3 provisionally.
Lovely improvement there for Cav Bud, who takes that P3 with that improvement. That is an excellent lap from him, putting him right up there with the two Porsches. You've got to say he's been one of the best of the rest drivers behind them all season long, so it's only right that he should be starting on that second row for this final round.
Yes, and I believe he is the Alumni Cup winner as well, so definitely got some pace behind him.
yeah, he won that last time out in Austria. He's got that pace. Sadly, the only alumni class we have got in this race, so there's no reason for him to push other than he is a racing driver. So he's going to push every single lap, every single corner of every single race that he can.
All right, let's have another look here. Cameron Searle 2/10 up on his time. Let's see if he can keep it across the line. And there's no improvement.
Where are these shot positions?
Goldsmith, massive improvement.
Wow, massive improvement there. As you said, he's up nearly 3/10. That's a third of a second he's found there. That is very much a statement of intent from Owen Goldsmith. Cameron Searle is going to have noticed that by now. And if he doesn't, when he does, he's going to be very, very surprised at that sudden found. That lap time came out of nowhere almost. We've seen them both improving a little bit, but 3/10 is a whopping improvement this late in qualifying now as the clock ticks down into the last 10 seconds here. That is, unless Ben Gilroy pulls out a wonder move on his one lap of qualifying, that is a guaranteed pole position there for Goldsmith, it would seem, now as the clock strikes 0 on qualifying.
And Cav Bud will be the first to finish the qualifying session. He is up on his time again. Let's see if he can improve it further.
Here he goes. Can he get any better?
Yes, he can.
He puts it well and close to Searle. That is an amazing lap from the Honda. One of his best of the season now as Jake Ansell comes out of the final right-hander before the chicane, does the first one. Is he going to attack the sausage curbs? Let's have a look. He gets close to the first one, close to the second one, but doesn't hit either of them now. Foot to the floor, get that Ferrari's engine right up in the rev range as he powers towards the finish straight for his last qualifying lap of the season. He crosses the line.
And there is no improvement, unfortunately.
There he goes. He's stopped now. He's going to jump back into the pit lane, get the track clear as one of the McLarens comes around the final corner now. Can Jose put down a good lap time? Let's find out as he comes across the line. Yep, it's an improvement. It's a good improvement. Not enough to catch up to Ansel ahead, but it's definitely time off, showing that how qualifying develops. And here he comes, the champion, Ben Gilroy. Is he going to do last to first, or is this going to be a one and done pole one lap wonder? A little bit of drift through the chicane in the first part. Keeps it nice and tidy through the chicane for the second part. Not too much curb taken on any of that. No one to risk upsetting the car on their one and only lap. The portion now towards the line, comes across it, and it's straight to pole position by half a second. Wow, that is a champion's qualifying lap, isn't it? That is an amazing lap. Half a second clear, one lap and done. Ben Gilroy, that you are champion for a reason.
Yeah, I think that was quite an insane lap time there from Ben Gilroy. First attempt. I say first attempt, he went into the pits about 3 times after going out a couple of times. So, first full lap, and
yes,
it was a solid one. It was an absolutely solid one.
Yeah, that is a reason he's champion. There's a reason he's won every race. So that means he's not doing a last to first challenge. He has come out here to destroy this championship. He's won every race. He doesn't even want to risk it. He wants to get half a second clear in one proper lap, shall we say, and he's going to try and run off into the distance around this Spanish track now. All the other drivers, well, Ollie, you've got a feel for Owen at the front there. Sorry, he thought he was on a pole. He was clear by 600ths, and then he went and set an amazing lap, put on that 3/10 of a second, and then out of nowhere, Gilroy comes out, does one lap, puts him to bed, 8/10 up on Searle, 5/10 up on Owen.
Well, in either case, I think we will see quite an intense battle for the remaining 2 places on the podium today, between Goldsmith, Searle, Bud, and I think Johansson can also put a foot in there. Anything can happen on the opening couple of laps. People could get ridiculous amounts of damage, and it can absolutely open doors for the people towards the back.
Yes, all it takes is one person to miss one braking point, and if they go right into the back of the car ahead, that is both cars severely damaged. So that could happen to last and second to last, or to first and second. So it's all going to depend on that first couple of laps. I think if we see a clean run for all the cars, those 3 Porsches, they're going to pull away. Whether Owen and Cam have a fight, we'll have to find out. I think there's going to be a bit of scrapping at the start. Maybe they'll then settle into that rhythm and let the tyres relax, let them walk out the stint, and then jump into the pits when they can and go flat out to the finish. But yeah, like you said, we're going to see a good race for that second podium spot.
Yes, and currently we have got just a bit over a minute until the formation lap starts, and everyone's getting ready. What can I say? The success penalties have not been applied yet. I don't know exactly how much everyone will have. However, it's going to be quite up there now because Ben Gilroy has won so many races now. His is going to be pretty much maxed out.
Yeah, he's won every race so far, so he will have the highest podium any driver can have, which is why he's not a guaranteed winner, because if he gets damage and then has to pit again for his penalty, or even if he gets damage after that penalty, that is him basically a minute, 2 minutes down. That's a lap down on the rest of the field if he's not careful. So that success penalty will play a big part in this race now. But don't forget, both those other Porsches have got some form of penalty coming their way from previous race podiums, I think.
Absolutely, and Goldsmith and Searle, like, as soon as they smell some damage on Gilroy, they will just come and swoop up that podium position.
Yes, they are vultures waiting. They've been waiting all year, permanently second and third. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They are waiting and ready for that win. If they even sniff a front wing end plate coming off, like a little canard or a little bit of damage to the floor, they will pounce on Ben Gilroy faster than he will be expecting it. Well, he'll be expecting it, but they will pounce instantly on him. They will be right there and waiting.
And it looks like we're finally getting going here with the formation lap.
Yes, the one lap, and now tyre warming and little driver antics. They can mess around, they can accelerate very hard, then brake very hard, get that temperature up in those brakes to warm up the tyres before we go racing for the final race of the season there. You see our champion in that all carbon black Porsche no, not quite at the front, but we'll be at the front when we get round.
It's because I don't have his livery. Let's just say that. I hear it's a very nice livery, though.
I'm sure it is a very nice livery.
I do apologise to Ben Gilroy for not including it today.
I'm sure he's understanding of that. However, I must say that black carbon Porsche does look pretty mean, so he's not exactly lost out there as we see the cars weaving their way up through this first sector now. Tyres being warmed. You know that they'll start, the drivers are starting to prepare, think about strategy, or they'll know I'm going to pit at half distance, 2/3 distance, or maybe even right at the end. So they'll all have different levels of fuel, different tyres, strategy, different plans going into this race now. I think this would be good. Have you got any predictions for me before we get off to?
I reckon that we'll actually see a clean first lap. This isn't really a track where you see too many first lap incidents. The first couple of corners are fairly high speed, so as long as people don't completely misjudge their braking, it should go pretty smoothly.
I have to agree. Yeah, I think this track is definitely starts off fast, then gets very slow towards the end. I mean, if for some way you could run it backwards, it'd be a very different question. But that's not. We're running it the normal way here this time. So I think a clean first lap is likely, and then we'll have to see, can those Porsches bicker, or will there's two cars on screen now of Goldsmith and so will they bicker, or will they go chasing after that grand prize of Gilroy? He's a champion. He doesn't have to push, but we both know full well he is going to push until he sees the checkered flag. He wants that perfect season. So I think it's going to be tough for him to relinquish that race win, as the whole field now all in one shot there, all in one line for the final round of the championship. It's been a good championship, and I'm very much looking forward to this final race.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it as well. They should be lining up side by side in just a moment here. I think a couple more corners. Yeah, there we go. They're lining up side by side now.
Starting to get into their race order. Oh, we've had a bit of a traffic jam there as some of the cars sort themselves out, or don't in this case, as they now have a McLaren taking the lead of the pack, as the Porsches obviously got any sort of rebellion before the race start now. Like you said, getting in that order for the race. Ben Gilroy lining up with Owen Goldsmith right next to him for the final round of the championship. Here we go, through the chicane, coming up towards the line. This is round 6 of the BUSR ACC Spring Championship as we round the final corner for the first time, not of the race but of the warm-up lap. And here we go. 75 minutes, 7 drivers, and only one winner at the end of it as they now slowly creep their way towards the line. Not quite full throttle just yet. Here we go, are we ready? I'm not sure where the line is. There it is, green flag, lights to go. We are racing for the final time in the championship. Here we go, can Ben Gilroy contain the cars behind? Can he keep that Porsche behind him? Let's find out into turn 1. They are nose astern. Here he goes. Is Owen going to have a look on the inside? He's having a sniff. He's having a look. Is he going to try and get through? That turns into the outside line for turn 2. Not quite got the grip round the outside, which turns into the inside line for turn 3. Here we go. We have a new leader. Owen Goldsmith has taken the lead ahead of, well, now it's Kev Budd in that Honda with the Johansson in the McLaren. I think that is behind. That is a disastrous race start for Ben Gilroy, who has dropped right the way back to 4th now as we come through here, the middle sector. Owen Goldsmith has got to now be thinking, right, how do I defend this? How do I keep Kev Budd behind, as Ben Gilroy is having none of it, taking that McLaren up the inside in the middle sector.
Yes, and we can see the success penalties are currently being applied. Cameron Searle with a plus 40 seconds and already down in 6th place. That is not an ideal start for him.
No, he has had a disaster of a start, actually. The only real portion that benefited from that start was Goldsmith. Like I said, he's now taken that race lead ahead of Kev Budd, and now Ben Gilroy is looming behind them. He's on the podium, but he's not in his usual position. He wants that place ahead. Kev Budd here, fighting hard. He wants that podium. He's the alumni class champion, but he'd love to get a 2nd place or even a win, because every lap that he holds up Ben Gilroy is one more lap that he can defend from him later on, when that 45-second success penalty is added. Now as we come through the final sector for this first lap here. Oh, is he going to have a look up the inside?
Up the inside. Doesn't quite get the move done. Kev Budd remains up ahead in 2nd place, who also has a 30-second success penalty. But look at that, Goldsmith is now over a second ahead, whereas Kev Budd and Gilroy are scrapping behind. This looks like Goldsmith's day, and that's going to be Ben Gilroy going up the inside. Kev Budd taking a very cautious approach there. Doesn't want any incidents this early into the race.
Absolutely, these guys they've got 70 minutes plus to go, and they are not going to risk it. However, if they see an opening, they're going to take it, as Ben Gilroy did just there. He pushed his way through. He is now going to be hunting Goldsmith. Goldsmith has just got to run. They've almost got to put in qualifying laps here. Try not to burn up the tyres, but get as far away from the pack as he can, really, to defend that lead.
Some fighting happening behind here with Hansen and Searle. Searle trying to look up the inside, but will he get the speed?
He goes side by side with the McLaren up the hill. Not really an overtaken opportunity. Cameron uses his racing knowledge and experience there from other championships and from this one to back out just before we get to the corner now. As they come round onto that back straight, will the Porsche have a look up the inside? Let's see now, as we're a line astern there, that's going to be a lot of split screen for both cars. So, and here he goes, he's having a look, he's on the brakes, he's down the inside there of Johansson. I think that is, yes, Johansson. Cameron Searle has taken 4th place now, is nearly back where he was before, but not quite. It's just him and a Honda in the way.
Yeah, this is a long race. They don't need to worry too much about position at this very moment. They just need to make sure that they get into the flow. They probably haven't practiced as much with a heavy fuel load, so the cars are going to be behaving slightly differently at the moment.
Absolutely, they've got 20-30 litres of fuel on board. They're going to be really struggling around some of these corners with all that extra weight if they haven't practiced. And I mean, why would you? Practicing with heavy fuel is no fun. Go out there and do qualifying laps, it's much more fun. Now as we come down towards turn 1, Cameron Searle is still in that 4th place. He's not had a great start, has he? I think he probably was the loser off of that first lap, with Owen Goldsmith being the winner.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with you there. I did also just notice the track temperature is 3 degrees higher than it was in qualifying, so the tyres are going to be absolutely eaten up here, as we see Ben Gilroy sniffing up around Goldsmith, trying to make a move. He goes up the inside. Will it stick? I think it's going to stick. No, he goes a bit loose. And
little twip oversteer there.
Ahead.
Yes, definitely. Goldsmith has managed to just about stay ahead, although it seems as a more of a when than an if Ben Gilroy gets past, given the pace of that Porsche. He is ignoring all of our warnings about tyre wear from heat or from curbs. He is just going flat out, and he probably knows just what he's doing, because so far he's won every race. So you'd be very, very, very brave to bet against him now. Is he going to have a look up into the chicane? Into hairpin, sorry, not quite. No, he's going to stick and wait. He's got 70 minutes. He can bide his time. However, every second he's behind Goldsmith is letting Searle catch up. Is keeping that pack bunched up behind him. He can't stretch that advantage he needs to overcome his 15 seconds of success penalty over Goldsmith.
Who will have the better line out onto the main straight?
Let's see, now we come down high power for both these cars. Obviously, they're identical mechanically. Any setup differences, not issues, will decide who has the most speed going into turn 1 now. Both the drivers building up to full speed. Will he have a look? Will he break out? Will he make a move? Here he goes. There's the move. The move has been made. He's making it stick. He's just a little bit too far behind there through that corner. Gets back into file. Owen is saying, not today, sir. Have another try later on as we come up this hill again. One of the, like I said in qualifying, a very long corner. And then is he going to have a look? There's definitely an air of aggression about that carbon black Porsche, obviously. Not the livery it's intended to be in, but it's how it's looking today as Ben Gilroy is sniffing around. He's just looking for that opening, that mistake from Owen. Is he going to have a dive up the inside here? He tried last lap. He's having a look. Again, can't quite get it to stick. He's just not finding a way fast.
Before he even hits the apex.
Yes, Ben Gilroy is not finding a way fast. Owen Goldsmith is closing doors left, right and centre.
If Goldsmith can hold Gilroy back for a little while here, the success penalty might actually make a difference today. I'm just thinking, like, if Goldsmith stays within 15 seconds after inevitably Gilroy makes the overtake, and will it be now? It looks like Gilroy has made the overtake happen into that
little mistake.
Goldsmith going a bit too wide.
Mistake from Goldsmith, just puts the car slightly too wide there. All starts to fall apart now. A commentator's curse very squarely hit Goldsmith straight in the traction there. Now, as Ben Gilroy takes almost his rightful place, the place he's almost owed by this championship, given his recent performance, as he comes now round for the leader for the first time in this race, really since the opening lap. We've only had 7 minutes, and yet so much chaos has happened. We've got a Porsche down in 4th, really where it shouldn't be, but despite that, Ben Gilroy is back at the front.
Well, at the moment, it's looking like Bud might get an overall podium, which I don't think he has done this season. I don't really remember. But yeah, I'm sure he would be more than happy with that.
I'm sure he'll be over the moon with the podium here, as he's just trying to keep... Well, he's in a bit of a Porsche sandwich here, isn't he? He's just going to play the long game. He's well known for pitting very, very late. So unless he gets any damage, we can expect to see that car run for 35, 45, maybe even 50 minutes. Basically, as long as the fuel tank and tyres will let him, he will run that Honda for. He's holding good pace as well. He's not lost ground to the cars ahead. He's not lost time to the cars behind. So he will be happy with this race so far.
Yes, and you do mention that he likes to pit very late. However, last week we did see him pit around a normal pit stop time, kind of in the center of the race. So perhaps he's changing his strategy to maximize his chances at a higher finishing position.
Absolutely, yes, you may well do, because if you run lower fuel, your car's lighter and your car's faster. That's sort of racing 101 since the 60s. Like, simplify then add lightness. So maybe he's trying something different. I mean, he may also be accounting for damage, because I think there was some damage in a previous round where he did end up pitting earlier to fix it. So it may well be that he's just thinking, I will pit when I get damage, or on lap 15, the 30-minute mark, the 35-minute mark, whenever he decides to come in. But he's holding very well here, sort of equidistant from both the Porsches ahead and behind, around that second margin, back to Goldsmith, and then about 8/10 back to Sterl now as we come down towards turn 1. These guys are really keeping it close, but they're not too aggressive. I think there's definitely some time management.
Yes, now Gilroy is up ahead. He does appear to be slowing down just a little bit to manage his tyres. I'm not saying he is slowing down, but he isn't extending the gap as much as he was initially when he made the overtake. Yes,
it would seem he's just showing his pace. Almost said to Ollie, you can chase me if you want, but I've got pace to spare. There's pace in my locker to bring out later on. And now that he's sent that message back, he's just going to start to calm down and really breathe and settle into the long run. This is a long race. You've still got an hour and 5 to go. So, these guys can't risk it, because a binning it now would put you well back. You would have time to fix it, but you don't want to make mistakes you don't have to make.
Somebody must have gone very wide around the opening laps there. Some signs being damaged, debris on the road.
Yes, I'm sure it's off the racing line, so it should be okay. But yes, I think someone probably hit a brick board or something on the formation lap or lap 1 or lap 2. Now as we see, is he going to attack the sausage curves? That'll show us the pace these drivers are looking at. Here we go. Not
he
quite
is
from
taking them very closely, just about touching them, I think. But
yes,
he's not taking them full on.
He is pushing, but he's not qualifying pushing, so he's definitely setting quick lap times now as the gap is nearly at 2 seconds. He gains 2/10 on Gilroy through that last little timing zone there. He is putting in
Cameron
absolutely
Searle very close behind. Yeah, Bud. Will he make a move up the inside? No. Had maybe just a little bit of a look, but thinks better of it.
Yes, he's got experience. He's waiting. He knows that position, that trophy's got his name on it. He's just got to try and get it out of Bud's hands, but only when the time is right. That gap down to half a second now. Maybe Bud is not being able to keep up with the pace of the Porsches ahead and behind now, as there is definitely an air of aggression from that Porsche now. He is waiting. He is watching for the race to come his way almost. Is he going to have a look up the inside and do what Ben Gilroy did to Goldsmith 5 laps or so ago? Track temperature's still hot, tyres still going to be worn. Maybe he wants to get the move done nice and early, just get it out of the way with. Maybe he's trying to play it long and see if he can make his tyres last. He's a tyre whisperer in F1. Can he transfer that over to Porsche GT racing?
From what I have seen when I have raced against him, yes he can. However, can he today on such a hot track?
Yes, he's definitely done it before, but can he do it in the heat of Spanish summertime? Well, springtime, I guess. It's the Spring Championship after all. But anyway, as we come up now, he's going to have a look into turn 1. He's got to get these last couple of corners absolutely line perfect. Cut the curbs just enough to get the speed, but not so much that he loses all of it and breaks his suspension or does any damage to the aero now.
Looks like Bud had a little bit of a slide going out of one of the corners there. Could be damaging his tyres a bit too early.
Yes, maybe that's a sign that he's scared. Maybe he's trying to push and push and push just to stay ahead. As we see, the gap is now around the 0.6 of a second mark. It's not massive. It's definitely doable with a good lap from Searle, or with a little bit of tyre damage from Bud here now, down into turn 1. Here we go, coming up the hill. Is he going to have a look? Is he going to stay behind? I think he's just keeping his distance for now. Maybe cooling off the tyres for another look, letting the brakes breathe as a second. Is in that gap now up to 0.8 of a second. It's growing a little bit every now and again. Maybe Bud is just easing back into that pace, realising maybe I'm going to have to go for an earlier stop than I would like, just to keep the tyre pace on board. Who knows? But I will find out as this race unfolds now. As we come down through the middle sector, will Cam have a look up at the end of the main straight towards that tight hairpin there?
I think it's quite unlikely, because the gap is currently at 8/10. His exit onto the back straight would have had to be immaculate.
Yes.
Whereas Buds would have had to have suffered at some point. It looks like Searle had a tiny bit of a lock-up maybe. He went a bit deep there or something. Not ideal, of course.
No, it's definitely not what he's looking for here at all. Yeah, he's definitely going to be thinking, how can I make that gap up? Maybe I can brake later here. Oh, no, that's too far. That's my limit now as he drops back. Is he going to attack those curves? Right on the curves there. Lots of bouncing from the Porsche, unsettling it. Not going to be a great run through the last corner. So turn 1, probably off the cards here. Unless Bud made an error that we didn't see. The gap is now, so it's over 1 second now. That is it's either a stellar lap from Bud or more likely a slightly bad lap from Searle now. As we see, the gap to the lead is growing, the gap to second is growing, but the gap back is also growing. These cars slowly spreading out. All 4 of them with success penalties. These guys are all podium finishers in their class or overall. So they all know what it's like, but they're all fighting over that final podium of the season.
Yes, absolutely. Let's have a look to the very back row. Ryan Shea, currently about half a lap down. However, as I say that, we have just had a spin from Jake Hansel. I switched at the worst time possible. Let's see what happened. And it looks like, well, we didn't see a whole lot. Let's try going back slightly further, if it lets
let's see if we can see if the replay can go back a bit further here. Here he comes, Jake Hansel. We know this isn't going to run well for him, so Ferrari fans, viewer discretion is advised. Just a little bit too wide, coming into turn 1, over those big aggressive yellow curbs, and then just puts it around, trying to put traction down. Car's already unsettled. Not a lot he could do there. The mistake started a couple corners earlier, and he just caught it going round turn 2 into turn 3. Big cancel. He's been very quick all season, that Ferrari, but he just keeps making not silly little mistakes, but tiny errors. A foot too wide here, not a foot wide enough there. Power a second too early, and there he goes wide again, but keeps it under control. That's the sign of the pace. We've also seen the sign of the mistakes.
Yes, but going back to Ryan Shea real quick, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it looks like some confidence is missing. Like taking the lines a little more conservatively and braking a lot more. Not even really on the racing line, I must say.
Yeah.
So something must have happened in the start of the race to really knock that confidence.
Yeah, he's driven well enough before at previous rounds to know this is not his normal look. He's definitely avoiding curbs, actually very much avoiding them there, as the car seems to step out a little bit. Maybe that's a sign of some damage. Maybe he's had a bit of contact in lap 1 that we didn't see on the broadcast, and that means his car is not handling as it should be, so he's just having to be slightly more cautious on the throttle. Now as he comes through his last sector, yeah, he's avoiding those curbs. Not quite like the plague, but he's definitely not getting close to them.
But back towards the middle, Cameron Searle has caught up a little bit more to Cav Bud now. About half the gap between them. That was there about 2 laps ago. So he's making decent progress here. Could potentially look for an overtake in the next couple of laps.
He's definitely eyeing it up. He's found that pace again. He's down under a second, down under 8/10 even. As we go, is he going to have a little nosy? No, he stays in line, just following, waiting for Cav Bud almost to make a mistake. In 57 minutes, some drivers are going to make mistakes. We're going to see more spins. There we go. The back is out for Bud. That Honda drifting its way almost through that tight corner out onto the gravel. This is going to be Searle's best chance for a little while now, if he can just stay close through the chicane in the last sector. Is he having a look in the chicane? He's going to stick it round. Contact there between the front left and the back of that Honda. That's going to knock off a bit of momentum here, but that Porsche is definitely knows it can get through soon.
Yes, not a great lap there for Cav Bud, I must say. That Honda sliding around the corners quite a bit. I wonder if the tyres have been damaged a bit too much.
Yeah, maybe
and that's another massive snap of oversteer, and that's a massive contact. Big shunt there. Let's have another look at that, but from Cameron Searle's perspective.
Here he goes, coming out. He can sniff that chance, and then just bang straight into the side of the NSX. Just on the power for Cav Bud. Tail steps out. Big contact for both cars. Now they are both going to have damage. Whether they have to pit or not, we'll find out. I reckon if they don't, they're going to be losing lap time. That is not clean racing. It's not what we like to see. But at the end of the day, it is racing. Cav Bud just stepped out. Not a lot Cameron Searle could do in avoidance, sadly. There, it's just basically that seals off the top 2 as the top 2 for at least for the time being.
Yes, they seem to be going back into the racing here. Let's see if they take an early pit stop or not. They'll have to weigh up whether the damage they received is going to harm their race, or if they want to just make this early pit stop.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yes, I can put words together. That totally made sense in my head.
Yeah, no, yes, it's whether they decide that the time lost, the damage is worth the time gained. The time lost they would have from the damage, is that worth the time lost for fixing it in the pits? They're going to have to fix it at some point, I'd imagine. There, the tail's still stepping out on that Honda. Something is not right with that car's traction. It is sliding all over the place. I know Honda are known for drifting, but they probably shouldn't be doing it in an NSX GT3 car around Barcelona circuit. That suits more mountain roads in Japan. Now as we come onto the pit straight here, neither of the cars, neither of them have pitted this lap. Maybe the damage is only lightweight. Maybe they're thinking, I can last. Whether they can or not, we'll find out in a couple laps. We'll see if Johansson starts to catch up to the back of Bud, or if Searle and Bud start to fall away from each other. Maybe one of them will pit, maybe both of them will pit. We'll have to find out.
I don't know who would actually have more damage here, because Searle hit Bud with the front right, but I think Bud got hit more in the center of the car.
Yeah, I think maybe Searle would have done more damage if it did, like you say here, that suspension. If he's lost a dive plane off the front, that's worth a couple tenths a lap, easy peasy. So we'll have to see as the race develops. Maybe the drivers don't fully know the extent of how bad it is yet. They're going to put in a couple laps, notice if it's any different to their previous best, and see what to do from there. Here we go, Bud. Is he going to pit again? We'll have to find out. He's 2 seconds back now on Searle, which is not optimal, but of course, after damage, he's lucky to still be in the race. Johansson there looming behind. He will have seen that crash happen, or really seen the aftermath of it, as two cars that were suddenly a lot closer than they were a couple laps earlier. Will he do something about that? We'll have to see.
It's hard to tell exactly what is going on, because Johansson looks to be gaining on Bud. However, the gap between Bud and Searle is remaining about constant, and Searle is catching back up to Goldsmith, so it's really hard to tell exactly what is going on.
Yeah, we're in that sort of weird phase of the race yet, where all the cars are starting to settle into race pace, and they're now just watching the clock count down before everything sort of kicks back up again as we come into the pit stops. The gap is it's 4 seconds back now from Searle to Bud, and 2.29 to Johansson. So they're not small gaps. These are not the kind of gaps you can do in a lap there, but they are definitely the kind you could do in 3 or 4 if you really put it all together.
I'm thinking actually Bud may have more damage than Searle here. The gap is extending between them, and Johansson is catching up. And yeah, that car is not looking particularly happy, I must say.
No, I reckon Bud has got some damage to the rear of that car. There's another snap of oversteer there. Yeah, he's definitely struggling a little bit here. His lap times are not what they were. He's losing time, and Johansson is going to see that. He'll see that first. Whenever he spots that first big slide, he will know that McLaren is destined for 4th place, at least for the time being. But I admire Bud for carrying on so well there. Another snap. That car is going to be an absolute handful, and of course, sliding means, well, it's basically unintentional drifting, and drifting causes tyre smoke because the tyres get hot, and hot tyres are not happy tyres. So they will be experiencing that damage. They will feel the burn of this track even more strongly when they're going around the corners slightly sideways there. I keep surprised if he controlled up into that final sector for Bud, but those tyres will be screaming by the end of this stint.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, it's not even actually that early to make a first pit stop, or just your overall pit stop in the race. I've seen some pretty big undercuts, although maybe not on this track. I think it is very track dependent.
Yeah, I think it'd be brave to stop now, but not off the cards. Like if Bud thinks, right, this is undrivable. He's nearly a second down on his best lap, so he knows he can go a second quicker already, and that's without all the fuel he's burning off every single time he puts his foot on that accelerator pedal. So maybe he thinks, I'll just get it out of the way. I'll do it at 15 minutes. I'll do it at 45 minutes, much earlier than he otherwise would, just to see if that damage is fixable, to see if that tyre change will give him the grip he so dearly wants now. Because, you know, that both the gap to Johansson is starting to extend. It's up to 3 seconds now, but that gap is not closing to Searle ahead. So I don't think there's much pace in that Honda that you can't exploit without fixing the car, because he's going to need at least a new set of rear tyres sooner than he would like.
Yeah, his rear slightly wiggly coming out of that corner.
Yeah, he is twitching and shaking and sliding his way right through these corners now. That car is going to be a handful to drive, and I absolutely admire Bud for driving it. He's alumni champion for a reason. It's because he's learned to drive this Honda really quite well. At least over the last couple of rounds, he's driven it very, very well indeed to win that championship with those points as he comes now down here into the tight hairpin. Let's see, does he get that twitch of oversteer? Not quite. Okay, maybe he's learning as he takes that curve very aggressively, unsettles the car through into that final sector, all twisty turny corners. He should be okay through these. There's not too much placed on power sliding it around here, but you don't want to attack those curves, because if you do, you might spit the car off into the gravel trap and out of the race if you're not careful.
Yeah, and it looks like the race has now stabilized. Everyone's lap times are more or less back to what they were before. Bud still losing sometimes to Searle though.
Yes, and Bud seems to be losing time to his personal best as well. These cars are not operating at qualifying pace right now. They know the track is 30 plus, 38 degrees on the track surface. This is going to be monstering through tyres if you're not careful. This drifting is not going to be helping.
We had Jake Ansel have another spin by the looks of it. Let's have another look, see what happened. And, of course, the camera does a funny...
There we go, lovely shot off the corner there as Jake Ansel comes into the pit lane.
Let's have another quick look, shall we, or try to?
Here we go. Just gets it all wrong coming out of the corner.
He took the curb, I think, on the inside, and it completely unsettled the car.
Not a great place to take. As we said in qualifying, we did warn, at least we warned the viewers, that those curbs will be aggressive. Ansel just thinks, right, let's just reset, take a minute, pit, breathe, think, get ready, and then go back out there. So when he comes into the pit lane now on the replay, I'm sure he's currently stopped on track. Well, currently stopped on the live feed as well now, as we see here Cameron Searle in that third place. That gap back to Bud is extending now. He's starting to close almost maybe a little bit to Goldsmith. He's dealt with the damage. It's not as bad as he thought. He's starting to push again, find that confidence, find that pace, get in that groove and get back to P2. He's got a long old race ahead of him, especially with the success penalty, that he has got. But I don't think he got off too badly. I definitely think Bud lost out in that damage more than he did.
Well, at the moment in the race, Johansson looks to maybe even be looking to take second place with all of these success penalties.
Absolutely, that mistake for Cameron Searle and for Bud means they're both right in front of Johansson. He could definitely put that car up into third place, if not second place, as you said. Those success penalties are so hefty. 30, 40, 45 seconds is such a long time when a lap is only 1 minute 45. That is nearly half a lap time once you include your actual pits. And then when you include your actual stop, not just sitting there stationary and waiting, you're easily going to be a lap or so down. Jake Ansel now back out of the pits. He's done his stop. Is he going to try and push towards the end? Maybe so. We'll find out as you carry on. It's a long old stint, but it's not impossible.
The rear snapping a little bit there halfway through the corner. Not ideal, but getting used to new tyres can have that, I guess.
Yeah, they're going to come out of the pit lane not at race temperature. They're going to be warmer, given that it's also 28 degrees in Spain, but they're not going to be warm enough, so there's going to be a little bit of twitching on the first lap. Just be careful is all I can say to drivers whenever they do that, is just take it easy, don't push it immediately. There we go, big snap off into the gravel, nearly kicked out of the race, and so keeping it on the black stuff just enough there. Johansson is of course a lap ahead of him, so this will not be a race for position between the two. However, blue flags are merely suggested to Jake Ansel and all the drivers in this race. Unlike Formula 1, they are not enforced, so in theory he can fight, but he really shouldn't.
Well, I believe our rulebook specifies that yes, he can fight, but if the other car goes for an overtake, he must let them pass.
Yes, I believe that is the case. Yes, as displayed in previous races here. As once Johansson makes the move, Ansel can't slam the door on him, because the worst thing that could happen would be for Ansel to take Johansson out, because they're not racing for position. I mean, taking anyone out is bad, but taking out someone who you're not even racing, that's a big amount of penalty coming your way if you're not careful here, which will ruin Ansel's already subpar race, shall we say. Now the McLaren is getting nice and close. Again, it's a lap ahead. I'm hardly surprised. You can see the marshals waving their blue flags at this Ferrari just to warn. I'm sure he knows, but just a reminder, there is a McLaren behind you who's going to have a look very soon to get past, to get back on track and to chase after that Honda up ahead.
Yeah, and it looks like his tyres have warmed up now. He's a lot more comfortable on track. However, that McLaren is ever so slightly faster, just trying to find any way to get around.
He's going to be looking for any chance he can get, because every second he spends behind Ansel is 1 second that he's not spent chasing. And there he goes, off into the gravel. Ansel just takes the easy route out, cut the corner. Not sure if that was intentional or not, but he's done it anyway. Johansson gets through up into P5 on the road as well. Is he going to be able to catch up to Bud in the next few laps? That gap is extended slightly, unfortunately so, to 4.879 seconds. Not what we'd like to see for close racing purposes, but from Bud, that's probably what he needs. He needs that big buffer to grow So that penalty doesn't affect him too badly, of course. He's going to be 40 seconds back. That is well behind Johansson. So, you know, he's got to be thinking to himself, in that McLaren, I've got this. There's at least a P4 in it for me if I stay roughly behind the Honda. Maybe even a P3 if that Porsche drops back as well.
Well, if they were to pit right now, Johansson would come out into P3. I think he'll even come out into P2 if everyone was to pit right now. So
yes, yes.
He's got quite big stakes play here.
Yes, for someone who's in fifth, well below the halfway of these drivers, you know, below halfway through the grid, he's thinking about second place. And it's the wonder of the success penalties. Although they do seem very harsh for the lads at the front, it does help push them back. So drivers like Johansson can sneak a P5, a P4, or even a P2 in this race. So we'll have to see how those gaps change now, as we have just under 44 minutes to go. Pit stops, well, they can happen right up to the end, but you've got to think to yourself, I don't want to do that, because that means you're going to be running a very heavy car for a very long time. Will Johansson come in early, try and undercut everyone? Will he go long and try and hope with those penalties, hit them nice and hard? We'll have to find out now. As the drivers are going to be thinking about that strategy, they're going to have to make calls on how they drive. Do they drive aggressive? Here we go, a little bit wide for Johansson onto the gravel. That will have upset the car, maybe get a bit of gravel on the tyres, knock his confidence a bit. He's got to pick himself back up and carry on.
Yeah, a little bit of driver error there. I mean, with relatively low number of things happening on track, you do eventually just kind of fall into the same state of turn, brake, accelerate. Well, maybe not in that exact order. But, you know, any momentary lapse in what you're in concentration can lead to these small mistakes, and yeah, just gotta make sure you're staying focused on the race, especially when it's this long.
Yes, it is an endurance race after all. These guys doing one very long stint in real life. You'd have that radio engineer, you know, just talking to you a little bit here, a little bit there, just a little bit of advice. Maybe take turn 3 straight later. Watch out for turn 6. The curbs are a bit aggressive there, but they haven't got this. These guys are pretty much on their own at home, doing this from the comfort of their bedrooms, from their living rooms, or wherever they are, in their universities or just outside of it in their houses. They've got to keep focused. They've not got to get distracted by the leftovers in the fridge they're going to be eating at the end of the race, or just zoning out, sort of thinking, oh, I've got 5 seconds ahead and 5 behind, I can zone out. They don't want to risk it. They want to keep going. You don't want to lose time to a hungry driver behind you. You know, all it takes is one lapse in judgment and you're off into the gravel and you're down 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, and that's you out of podium contention.
Yes, and of course, it's more easy to have a lapse in judgment as well, because your car is constantly evolving. Your tires are degrading, your fuel is getting lower, so yeah, your car's getting lighter as well, and it will behave differently. So how you start the race may not be the same way you drive at the end.
Yes, and it's the constant adapting nature.
Yeah, so they have to stay concentrated here.
Yes, absolutely. They have to keep focused, because of course, as your car starts to get lighter, you will notice that. If you've ever driven in a sim game, you will notice that a maximum fueled up endurance sort of fuel tank is a vastly different beast to drive than a one lap of qualifying fueled car. They bounce. They just kind of glide through the corners with the endurance car. You almost have to force around with all that weight on board, splashing around in the fuel tank. And also, equally, as that starts to get quicker and quicker, the tyres start to rear their ugly head as they deteriorate and take away your grip, take away your lap time now, as we cut back to Owen Goldsmith, right up in second place. He's coming up to lap one of the McLarens here. Is the McLaren going to put up a fight? Well, it shouldn't, but it might. I don't think it's going to affect either of their races too drastically, as Goldsmith is 12 seconds behind Ben Gilroy, who has extended his lead quite comfortably. But is also 14 seconds ahead of Cam Searle, who is more worried about damage limitation than he is about catching P2.
And that was Ryan Shea moving out of the way quite nicely there for Goldsmith.
Yes, very respectful there from the McLaren to let that Porsche through. He knows that Porsche is not who he's racing. He is trying to just stay in this, stay reasonably close to the cars ahead, catch any mistakes that happen there. A bit wide for Goldsmith. Maybe that's another one of those laps in concentration we've been talking about. Now as we're coming through, 40 minutes to go. We're nearly at halfway now as we come towards the final couple turns for Goldsmith. Really an unfortunate but almost inevitable sort of early to mid stage of the race, as Gilroy was always going to try and get past, and so perfectly did. Has now run and run and run, and has got a massive gap now. As Goldsmith crosses the line, that gap's up to 13.2 seconds.
So theoretically, if they were to pit right now, Goldsmith would come out just about ahead of Gilroy. However, as we've seen, Gilroy would have no trouble whatsoever closing that gap and getting the overtake done. If I was Goldsmith, I'd pit now and try to go for the undercut. You are just about halfway through the race. When you come out of the pits, it will be halfway through the race, and if you can get just even a couple seconds over Gilroy, that could help him fend him off later.
Yes, every second that Gilroy can gain now is one more second he doesn't have to gain later on. And equally for Goldsmith, every second he loses now, well, every second he keeps up is 1 second better. We've got a car that's just jumped into the pit there. Jake Ansell has jumped into the pit. I think there was a yellow flag, and that is Jake Ansell out of the race there. I'm not sure what has gone on. We'll hope we'll find out soon enough. But that is the Ferrari gone. We are down to 6 drivers in the final race, which is not optimal. We'd like more. If you're watching this and interested in joining, do get in contact with us, and I'm sure we can find you a spot in the summer series. But yes, that is Jake Ansell mysteriously disappearing from the race. I saw they pulled over somewhere near the pit lane. Maybe they had a crash or
I believe
damage.
they did go inside the pit lane, I think. But yes, if you're interested in joining the BUSR, just head over to busr.gg/Discord. It was just up on the top right there a moment ago. It will be up there again, and it will take you to our Discord where you can join like-minded people and have some good races. We have a set of Corsa Competizione here. We also have Formula 1 Championship. We have an EAWRC Championship and an iRacing Championship. So if you're interested in any of these, do go ahead and check us out. I'm sure we'll love to have you on.
And I believe we now have Ben Gilroy in the pit lane. At least if the timing screen is correct, there he is. Our championship winner has come in for his pit stop. Hopefully, for his sake, his final pit stop of the season. He's going to need to serve that absolutely massive 45-second success penalty now. Oh, this is Owen Goldsmith's time to shine. This is Cameron Searle's time. No, maybe not Cameron Searle, he's a bit far away. But definitely Owen Goldsmith's time to shine. He needs to put in absolutely blistering lap times to get ahead, build that gap, really get that margin going. He was probably, well, according to our calculations, 2, maybe 3 seconds ahead after both of them pitted. He now needs to put in flying laps. He needs to go back to that qualifying pace that put him on provisional pole for 14 minutes of qualifying. As we see Ben Gilroy.
I reckon this is going to be when Goldsmith will pit this lap. I can't imagine him wanting to stay out more. I think the undercut is probably quite strong, especially if you're up against Gilroy.
Yes, and with these tyres and the wear they're feeling, the undercut will be very strong now. As we start to see maybe a couple other drivers have seen Ben Gilroy in the pits now, as they've all passed him, thinking maybe, well, what does he know that I don't know? Is he thinking maybe the tyres have reached their limit and they are just starting to wander off? Will Goldsmith come in this lap? Will he do another one? Let's have a look as he comes round. He's going to make that decision about now to bail or to continue and then try and line it up through the last couple of corners for the smoothest entry into the pits.
That's Gilroy coming out of the pits now.
Here he comes, the champion, out on his open lap. In he comes. Here goes. Goldsmith is in. This needs to be a rapid outlap for Gilroy if he wants to maintain that lead and keep it, which would hopefully be, for his sake, a race win. Here we go. A shorter penalty time.
Be close.
Yes, it's definitely
going to be about level on pit entry. However, who is that? Ryan Shea coming off into the gravel. Oh, that is a big jump on the curb, and as we mentioned, those sausage curbs will absolutely destroy any chances of going through those corners.
That is a textbook example of taking too much curb as Ryan Shea comes into the pit lane now, understandably so, probably with his tail between his legs, thinking, got a bit greedy, maybe messed up the braking line, or got the line wrong, into the pit, just reset the car, get that damage fixed if there's any, get the tyres changed, get back out there, really knuckle back down for the rest of the race here. Goldsmith in the pits, as we said, we've got to see how quick Ben Gilroy and Cameron Searle are going to be, both of them out on track, going as fast as they possibly can to build that gap, the success penalty a lot shorter for Goldsmith due to not having as many, any race wins this championship, sadly for him. Here we go, Gilroy coming through the last sector. Where is Goldsmith going to come out? Is it going to be immediately? He's going to have to start moving pretty soon to get out ahead of the rampant Ben Gilroy. He'll be running at absolute full pace, which we know is half a second, if not more, clear off the pack.
I think it is going to be very close on the exit there. They may be side by side going through turn 1. However, who am I to say? There he is. Goldsmith is starting to move now, and Gilroy is just going to get him, I think.
Yeah, there must have been a stunning outlap there from Gilroy as he just sweeps around. That'll be so frustrating for Owen to see Gilroy come sweeping round into turn 1, because he's of course got to warm up his tyres now as they both come up through sector 1. I think that's pretty much, I'm not going to say it's race sealed because this is motor racing. Anything can happen up until the final corner of the final lap. However, if you're putting money on this, it's definitely Ben Gilroy who you should be betting for now, because he is in the best seat in the house now. He has got the overall race lead once the car's ahead pit, probably. We can't guarantee that. There could be mistakes, there could be slow out laps, tyre warming, you know, the overcut. It might work, we don't know just yet. Here we go, a little bit wide there for Goldsmith, tyres not up to temperature.
And you've got to wonder, when will Cameron Searle and Johansson pit? Because they could have benefited greatly here. However, I think the undercut from Ben Gilroy was incredibly strong. He is currently 8/10 up on his previous lap, 9/10 already, and he's only going to keep building this gap.
There's a very, very quick lap from Ben Gilroy, showing he is the true pace of a champion. He is, well, he's just the champion, isn't he? There's nothing more I can really say. He's won every race so far. He's showing that pace right now as he starts to build a gap over Goldsmith every way he knows how to really, really just cement this race win. He's looking for a perfect season. It would be something to witness if he got it. You know, it doesn't really promote great racing for the lead if he gets it, but it is a great season for Ben Gilroy and everyone that is a fan of his and his work, as he comes now onto the pit straight with an absolutely, I'm sure it's going to be a blistering lap time as he comes across the line there. 1:44.6, likely behind his best, which is of course a very, very quick lap to 1:44.3.
So yeah, now his tyres are warmed up, he is absolutely hammering it.
Yeah, he's back on the pace now, he's ready, he's going, his tyres will be warm enough that he can race on them. Not so warm they're painful for the car, but warm enough that he can race on them. Owen Goldsmith you've got to feel bad for him. He's not really put many feet wrong all race, and yet he's just again going to come home in second place, which is rather unfortunate for him, but seemingly inevitable against the indestructible force that is Ben Gilroy. I'd love to see in the summer or even further around in the autumn or winter someone challenge Ben Gilroy. So yeah, if you think you've got the skills to beat him, absolutely come and have a go.
We had one person come in somewhere around the start of the season. I don't remember exactly their name, so I do apologize, but they were incredibly fast. They were faster than Gilroy. However, they only competed in one sprint race and didn't even do the feature race that day. So there is possibility of beating Gilroy. So yes, as mentioned by Dan here, if you think you've got it, come and challenge him.
Yes, as we see Johansson's now in the pits, this is a very important pit stop for the McLaren driver in third place. They've got no success penalty. They've literally got to pull in, change the tyres, change the fuel, and then get back out there as fast as the game allows it, which is a humongous.
Goldsmith here. They want to be ahead of Goldsmith. So
absolutely.
Let's see if that's possible. I think it's again going to be incredibly close on the pit exit. I think the undercut would have helped Goldsmith to potentially stay ahead here.
I don't think it's a guaranteed, but I wouldn't put it past Johansson to come out right behind Goldsmith and maybe have a sniff of an overtake here as he crosses over the line. Is that McLaren moving? Not quite.
No, it is not. So it wasn't quite enough, but it's still definitely enough to beat Cameron Searle, because Cameron Searle hasn't pitted yet, and he is. Although, yeah, I think Searle hasn't even lapped Johansson there, so yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. Can Searle get back on the podium? He's had a pretty diabolical race between the not a great qualifying in third. Well, still third place is pretty great, but it's not as great as he would have hoped. And then that incident with earlier on in the race with Bud has really set his race up for not being a great day here. Johansson, he is the driver of the moment right now. he is going to be pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and hoping that he spots a pair of Porsche Porsche headlights behind him rather than taillights ahead of him after all the pit stops have sorted out. We have just gone under the half an hour of the race, and therefore half an hour of the season to go. It's shaping up to be a very interesting finish with all these penalties applied.
Yes, we have 2 pit stops left. We've got Cameron Searle and we have got Cav Bud. They're currently running 1 and 2. With the success penalties, I don't think they'll stay where they are.
No, I doubt it.
However, they may still be able to challenge for podiums, of course.
I'd like for them to challenge for podiums. I'd love to see a fight, like a 4-car fight for 3rd and 2nd place. I think that would be really great for the championship. And it'd be fun to watch, wouldn't it? We all love side-by-side, nose-to-tail action, overtakes corner after corner, which is what you get from close racing. Is good entertainment. So yeah, I hope that these penalties almost help that happen, and that we see that close racing that we so desperately want going forward.
And Searle is not pitting.
Searle is staying out. That is a brave move from the Porsche driver to stay out. His lap times they're slower than they were before, so there's definitely less pace in that Porsche than he can get out of it. There's got to be a reason he's sticking this far out into the race. Maybe he's just trying to run it as long as possible and then sprint to the finish, but there's got to become a point at which pitting is the right thing to do for pace overall.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier lapses in judgment throughout a race, losing concentration, but you could also just get completely zoned in on just racing and forget that you have to do a pit stop, forget about strategies, and because you are doing this solo, you don't have an engineer to help you, it could become problematic.
Absolutely, it's very easy just to become solely focused on that little bar on your dashboard that says you're going quicker this lap by 1/10, and every single lap just be chasing that little green bar across your dashboard, across your wheel, across your game HUD. As we see here, the Porsche is going to be catching up to a couple of back markers pretty soon. That might snap him out. We need, Cameron Searle is going to need something to prompt him to pit. This might be an intentional design choice. We don't know just yet. We'll have to find out after the race if he planned to go this long. But that podium is on the cards, but it's not in his hands already. Ben Gilroy and Goldsmith, they look set for a piece of silverware at the end of the day. Whether the other one goes to Germany, Japan or Britain with the Porsche, the Honda or the McLaren is yet to be seen. There's a lot of curve there for Searle. That was a very aggressive curve, lucky to keep the car rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, I thought that car was going to spin there for sure, but he's a very skilled driver, of course, so he managed to save it and keep it pinned through the next corner.
Yes, he's keeping that pace on. That is the experience from being such an experienced race car driver. Is going to carry you through that corner. Here we go. Is he going to have another? Is he going to think about pitching this lap? We'll find out in roughly 1 minute 30's time now. It's very weird he's gone this long. He's done 27 laps on these tyres, hard racing with some damage in the heat and all that fuel being burned off. Maybe he's just waiting until the fuel tank says pit now or I'll stop going forwards, and that's how he's trying to do this race. We'll have to find out as we carry on, but Bud is equally not pitting. Neither of them are stopping.
Well, this isn't bad Bud's fashion. He does like to pit at the last moment.
Absolutely.
So he could just be going back to his normal ways, not really thinking too much about championships and stuff. He has won his Alumni Cup, so could just be having some fun.
Yes, he might just be thinking, oh, I've got nothing really to lose here. I'll just go as long as I can and just see. We don't allow the drivers to do it on 0 pit stops. That's what the little green and orange boxes mean. If it's green, you're good. If it's orange, you've still got 1 stop left to go. But he might try and go to, say, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, maybe even 72.5 minutes, right as the pit window closes. Just push it as long as he can. But yeah, it's not out of character for Bud. For Searle, however, it's an interesting choice for tactical reasons, because he's keeping that gap. Here we go, as Cameron Searle is technically a race leader, overtakes the McLaren there to lap it, and surprisingly so, nice and clean overtake there. Very well behaved from both drivers. He's still not pitting. He's keeping out. He's going to do another lap, at least 28 laps on the same set of tyres. It's a very interesting choice.
Yeah, mad respect to Cameron Sol for even being able to do this on such old tyres. My tyres would be dead after like 5 laps.
Yeah, I've driven this game before. It is a brutal game. One curb and you're dead. 10 laps and too many curves and your tyres are dead. So it's very, very impressive for him to go for 28 laps on the same set of tyres. Although I do fear him, he may be losing some pace on them.
It does appear to be that way. He is almost 2 seconds down on his best lap this race, which is not ideal, of course.
No, he will be bleeding time for the drivers behind. Whether he's aware of that, I don't know. He's done so many races in F1. He's the championship leader at BUSR quite comfortably over there, so he's definitely experienced. His racecraft is very high. He definitely knows what he's doing. It's just, is he doing the right thing? We'll have to find out.
Ben Gilroy in first is doing 2 seconds quicker than Searle is at the moment. So he will be catching up, and yeah, I'm surprised Cameron Searle is staying out this long because, as we've mentioned so many times now, he is just bleeding time and gonna ultimately cost him at the end of the race.
Yes, we may see a podium here for Johansson, or even maybe Bud if Bud just undercuts him enough, but it's not the best tactic I fear. I mean, I'm not in the car, I can't feel the Porsche, I don't know his plan. But from my experience of racing in GTs and touring cars, this is almost too long to go out for. He's been out there now for 50 odd minutes on these same set of tyres. It's a long time on one set of rubber in the heat.
And there he is, finally he pits.
There he comes, in he comes to the pit lane, just as we're saying. It's weird he's gone this long, he decides I'll do it now, just to make the commentators look silly. He comes in after 29 laps. Will Bud follow him in? No. Bud is going to take the technical race lead in terms of timing. Overall race lead, probably not.
I think that is one of the reasons Bud likes to pit so late. He just wants to see his name at the top there, and fair enough.
You know, it's nice to see your car running in first. You get the cool screenshot to send to all your mates the morning after of, hey, look at me, I've got 11 second or a 10-second gap or however long he'll have once the timing system sorts itself out. It's pretty cool. It's probably not the most optimal strategy when you're championship leader of a one class, at least in this race, unfortunately, one car in class championship. It'll be, you know, a nice win anyway in his class, as we see Ben Gilroy now, our overall race leader, coming around to overtake Cameron Searle. He's still in the pit lane. This overtake is hardly a surprise.
I think they will have only just started working on Cameron Searle's car. I think he had a 30-second penalty there, so yeah, they would have only just started working on the car when Gilroy was coming onto the main straight. So yeah, Cameron Searle will be coming out behind potentially Johansson, but we'll have to see. Will this overcut have been a mistake?
Yes, will this long tyre strategy have played out in his benefit? Johansson has got to be thinking, this is mine, come on, I can do this. He's got that determination. Bud, the only car left to pit, but he's not focused on that. He's focused squarely on P3 and P3, whether he can get there or not. I think he can, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, that is quite a gap. That looks like to be about a 10-second gap between Searle and Johansson. We'll have to see as they cross the first sector line. But that is going to be a bit of a challenge for Searle to get back into the podium.
Yes, he's going to put... Sorry, let me start again. Searle is going to struggle. He's got 2 places at least to gain. One of them he may gain in the pit stops, depends how much pace that Honda is bleeding. Maybe Cav Bud is just thinking, I don't want to fix this damage, as actually he's in now, sorry, he's come in already. Here he comes, final pit stop of this, final regular pit stop of the season with little over 20 minutes to go. Love that from Bud, just doing what he always does best, going as long as is humanly possible, and then a little bit more before pitting. Here we go. He's done 30 laps. He is currently the race leader. That won't last now, as Ben Gilroy will probably overtake, well, he definitely will overtake him during the pit stops. It's Johansson coming round in 4th. Here he comes. There he is, taking the race lead. Right back in his rightful place. Owen Goldsmith taking 2nd place. I don't think that gap is closable. 8.78 seconds. That's probably a little bit big for Owen to take over. And here is our will become 3rd place once he crosses the sector line to sort the timing sheet out. Johansson. It's been a great driver, less that Honda gets moving anytime soon.
I don't think it will be. That was a 40-second success penalty, so
yes.
I think it's going to start moving maybe when Johansson gets to the end of this straight, maybe a little later.
Yeah. So there we go. That confirms that Johansson is going to take P3 overall in the race, which is a stellar result for this McLaren driver. He was so consistent out in Spa, managed to steal a good chunk of points there, just behind the Porsches in 4th. A little bit of a less good race last time out in Austria. Obviously, Cameron Searle is now going to take 4th place away from Bud once Bud comes out of the pit lane. There we go. Bud has started moving down the pit lane. That going long strategy, not ideal. We cut back to Ryan Shea here, just bringing up the rear of this little 6-car group. Hopefully we see stronger numbers in the future, but so far each of these guys have done so well with this race. I really hope we get a nice end to the season.
I mean, it's looking to be quite an interesting end, especially with Johansson coming here with potentially his first podium. I don't know if he's had any podiums previously. I don't think he has.
I don't remember any. With the no success penalty, that would suggest he probably hasn't. So this may be a maiden podium. If it's not, I'm very sorry, Johansson. But you know, it's a podium. No driver is ever going to complain about being standing on the top step, or the second step, or the third step, unless they were expecting more. But I don't think Johansson really was. I think he was expecting it to be a Porsche 1, 2, 3 again. So he's just got to maintain and hold 8 seconds back to Cameron Searle for 18.5 minutes. It sounds like quite a small gap in quite a long time, but that McLaren has shown a lot of pace this race. He's just reliably plugged away. He just did it out in Spa, so we know he can just plug away, find that lap time that works, and just keep it going, keep it rolling.
Absolutely, and we don't know if Cameron Searle repaired any damage that he may have sustained earlier with his contact with Bud, so he could still be running a damaged car. I doubt it, considering he had to pit for so long. At that point, I'd just take a few extra seconds to repair my car.
Absolutely. Even if it doesn't provide any lap time bonus, you're going to be thinking it's more drivable. You're going to be thinking about that long-term drivability, that stability going through the high-speed corners. You want a chassis and suspension that you can lean on. You want a car that's not going to spit you out into the gravel at any moment's notice because you've knocked a dive plane off it, or because you've battered a suspension arm. So he will have taken that time to fix it if he's in the pits.
And it looks like he is gaining ever so slightly on Johansson. So Johansson may have to defend in the closing few laps of this race.
Yes, that gap is the one to watch. I think maybe keep an eye on the one for the lead if it starts to go down, but if it starts to go up, that means Ben Gilroy is just applying that extra couple of tenths he's got stored away in his back pocket. But I think that 7.5 seconds, we're going to see it drop. I'd love to see a podium for Johansson, but I just think Cameron Searle is a man on a mission. He's been knocked down too much in this race for him to take.
I actually think that Searle has a very good chance here, because looking at some statistics, Johansson's best time is pretty much a 1:46 flat, and he's currently lapping about 0.3 slower. Searle's best time, however, is just under 1:45 seconds, and he's currently lapping over a second faster than Johansson. So you can already see them both in frame occasionally here, so I think he'll catch up in just a couple of laps now.
Yes, I mean, if it's the second a lap, he's only got a last. You know, he's only got 6 laps to catch up to him. There we go, down into 3 seconds. That was a massive gain through that last couple of...
there must have been something wrong with Johansson's lap at the end there. That was massive.
I mean,
that was a 1:49 for Johansson.
And a 1:44.9 for Searle, so that gap is closed up humongously there. That is not what that McLaren driver needs. Maybe that podium is still slightly outside of his pace margin. Hopefully he can put up at least a decent fight to keep his honour going as we come now toward almost at the last 15 minutes now. We've nearly been going for an hour. These guys pushing really hard, putting on a good show where they can, given the limited number of cars on track. Here we go, Cameron Searle can now see the back end of that McLaren. It's such a big mental help. I'm not sure if you've ever found this, but it's such a big mental help to be able to see the car ahead. It's one thing to be chasing a number and a name. It's a very different thing to be chasing a machine. You can see where they make mistakes. You can use that to fuel your own speed.
Yes, you just got to try not to focus too much on the car ahead, because that can lead to incidents.
Absolutely. If you just focus on the back of that car, you'll forget your own braking marks, you'll forget your own apexes. You've got to see them as motivation rather than as the be-all and end-all. As the gap is now down under 2 seconds, Cameron Searle is really hotting up that pace now. I wonder if he's even, he's going to, I mean, Goldsmith's probably a bit far out of reach for now, but he would like to have a go at least catching up to Johansson here as he's fighting for that podium, back almost not where he belongs. There's an error for the McLaren ahead. Was that Johansson? I think it was. Yes, it was. Johansson spins out there on the curves there, just clips the first curve, out of line for the second curve, which he also clips, puts it on the power too early, goes off. That is podium chance over for the McLaren. It's absolutely tragic for Johansson.
That is incredibly sad. And unfortunately for Cameron Searle, I don't think he'll be catching up to Goldsmith anytime soon. That is far too big of a gap, in my opinion.
Yes,
we'll see exactly what it is. It's looking to be about a 30-second gap at the moment, though.
Yes, unless he's going to gain 2 seconds a minute, that's not going to happen. Yeah, 30 seconds, as you said. Well done. Yeah, that's unlikely to be caught. I think that, looking at the tracking graph, unless we see any other mistakes, that most cars are pretty spread out now. No gaps are under 5 seconds. So I think most drivers are now going to be thinking about the long term. They're going to be thinking about keeping the fuel level at just the right amount for the final push to the finish there. But I think, yeah, that mistake there has probably cost Johansson his only chance at a podium, at least for a little while before the summer series.
Which is, as you said, a little while. It will be around late June, early July, I believe. So do stick around for that. It will be a little bit more relaxed than this, and also quite a bit more open. I believe most of our championships get pretty much fully opened up to the public, except for Formula 1, I believe. But absolutely stick around for the summer championship. It will be great fun as we see Cameron Searle now looking to set another personal best lap. He set a personal best lap last lap, and it's looking to be another one now. And yes, it was. He is a man on a mission here. Unfortunately, unless Goldsmith makes a big mistake, it's unlikely that he'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, Goldsmith is putting in laps, as you can see there on the bottom right, of a 1:45.6. But with only 12 minutes to go, you're not going to get too many laps in now, because a lap time's 1 minute, as I just said, 1:46. So you're not going to get too many laps in. I don't think he's going to catch, unless as you said there, Goldsmith makes a monumental mistake. It's not impossible, but he's been very reliable from the lion's share of the season, so it seems highly unlikely that would happen. I mean, it's a real testament to that Porsche that it is 1-2-3 in this race, and it was 1-2-3 a couple of rounds ago in Spa. Has it been the dominant car of the season? You'd struggle to argue against it. Hopefully we see some other cars coming to the forefront in the future, as we see, it's nice to see Porsche back at the top of GT racing, but also maybe try something else. I'd like to see a bit of variety in the grid, maybe. So if you're thinking, I'll join, maybe try and drive something a bit different, a bit quirky, maybe bring a BMW or a Mercedes and have a go, because we need that variation on the grid that makes GT racing so wonderful.
I mean, absolutely, and we do implement balanced performance BOP here in our championship, so the cars are more balanced. It just so happens to be that the fastest drivers are choosing the Porsche here.
Yeah, so it's definitely a preference thing rather than a straight out overpowered car thing. So if you turned up in a Bentley, you would be just as likely to be competitive as if you turned up in one of the Porsches. So that variety is really, it's one of the best things about GT racing. It's why I love it so much. You can see a flat 6 powered German car versus the V8 powered British car versus a V6 powered Japanese car, all in the same racetrack. Formula 1, they've got one engine. Of all they're made in different places, it's basically the same engine up the entire grid. You've got turbo, you've got naturally aspirated, you've got 6, 8, even 10 cylinders in the Lamborghini and the Audi. It's such a varied.
12 if you go for the Aston.
There's a 12 in the Aston. Exactly. If you want to really go for it, bring a 12-cylinder out. We'd love to have you in a 12-cylinder Aston Martin. That thing sounds incredible. Absolutely. I've heard of them in real life at Alton Park, my home track, and it sounds thunderously loud as it comes down the main straight there. So having it in ACC would be an incredible thing to see. Now, as the gap at the front is holding, actually, I think Ben Gilroy is sort of easing into this race win now. It's holding at 12 seconds. Goldsmith not got the pace to catch any further up. 10 minutes to go now. We are into the last stage of this race. Anything left in the pockets is going to be shown now, but I think these guys have given their all. They're going to be getting tired now. They've gone for an hour and 5. They've still got 10 to go. Just need to hope that no mistakes come out due to fatigue or tyre wear or car damage.
However, as we're looking here, I think Cav Bud has a shot on Johansson here. The gap is quite small. It's looking to... It's hard to tell. It's about 8 seconds.
I just saw there that Cav Bud put in a stellar lap time of a 1. He's down in the 140s. Well, the 140s, but he's in the 144s, the 145s. If Johansson keeps putting in 146s, that gap of 7.5 seconds will rapidly shrink. And as much as I'd love Johansson to get a good result, Cav Bud has had such an unfortunate race, so this is really a recovery drive for him. He is fighting not for a championship, but he's already won it, but he'd love to extend that gap to any of the alumni class cars that have been in previous rounds. He's already got the class win, he's in a car from the alumni class, but he's still going to have a good crack at it. There we go, down to 6.5 seconds with a 1:45.1. Another great lap. Immediately after a 1:44.7, there is pace in that Honda. That evidently there was some damage fixed in the pit stop. Those new tyres and that little break has given Cav Bud that boost of life he needed to really go for it as he catches up to Johansson. Is he going to be able to do it? It's going to be tough. 6.5 seconds and 8 minutes. I think we're going to need to see some stellar driving from the Honda to catch up. There we go. The gap is below 6.
The question. Johansson, I think, is starting to struggle a bit. His last was a 1:47.
That is not an optimal lap time. Johansson will know he can do better. Cav Bud will know he is doing better right now. He's down under 6. We can't quite get them in the same frame for too long there, but before long, the car will be right up next to each other. However, as the great Murray Walker once said, it's one thing catching a car, it's a whole different thing getting past.
Absolutely.
Here we go as we come up towards the second timing line. Johansson just crossing over into sector 3. He's 15 seconds back on Searle, who has pulled a monumental gap out in the last 10 minutes or so. 5.7 for Bud, not too much of a gain, but he's still gaining. That momentum is so crucial because it's a mental game here. If Johansson sees that gap dropping, he's going to start panicking. If Bud sees that gap dropping, he's going to start thinking, I've got this, and he just needs to let neither of them become complacent. Complacency leads to mistakes, and that is, if either of these two drivers makes a mistake, like a big one, that is their position sealed for the race. So here we go through the last corners. Is Cav Bud going to catch up as we come towards the final line? We'll have to have a look at their overall lap times of a prediction of how this race is going to end now as we come towards the straight. Here we go. It's under 5. It's a 4.99 second gap with a 1:45.4 from Cav Bud. Johansson is going to know he's going to be close with a 1:46.
Did improve his lap time there from his previous a bit, but it's still a little too close to the 1:47s. If he wants to stay in 4th, I think, for the rest of this race, he needs to be setting low 1:46s. And yeah, I think at the moment Cav Bud can just about get him on the last couple of laps.
It's definitely going to be close. I mean, we haven't got any sort of predictive software to have a guess. As it's just the two commentators sat here in the booth talking. But based on our very scientific evidence of looking at the timing sheets, we're going to predict there's going to be close. But he's down to 4.7 already. That's 0.2 in just the first sector. It's not quite fast enough at that rate, I don't think. But if he starts to find half a second a lap, he can definitely do it. Or definitely at least get close enough to scare Johansson. That's another thing. It's again, seeing that car in the rear view mirror. He's gonna start worrying about, is he going to throw a dive bomb? Is he going to throw a move? Here we go. The gap is now at a... Is it going to shrink? Is it going to grow? 4.3. It's getting closer. It's nearly under 4 seconds. It'll probably be under 4 by the time we start the next lap. With just 6 minutes to go, can Cav Bud catch Johansson? It's going to be very close. If either of them makes a mistake, like I said, that is race over.
Yes, and Johansson has shown that he can make mistakes, and that is another mistake. Upsetting the car just there on the second corner through the chicane. That sausage curb is unforgiving.
He's not the first car to be caught out by it today. He is going to be shaken. His last lap was a 1:47.7. That is not what he needed. The gap is down to 2.6. That is a huge chunk of time gained for Cav Bud on that lap. Any more minor mistakes now, and that will put him firmly in the race. It's gone from being major mistakes to minor mistakes. Is all we need to see these guys get back up close and personal with 5 minutes to go. Can Cav Bud catch Johansson for P4? The podium looks set between the 3 Porsches. Ryan Shea is probably going to bring up 6th place unless we see a crash. But Johansson and Cav Bud, the race is very much on now as the gap is shrinking. 1.8, there's a huge gain in the first sector. Johansson's confidence is gone, his pace is gone. A 1:45.3 last lap for Cav Bud is not a bad lap at all. He is keeping up. Here we go from the helicopter shot. You can see just how close these 2 cars are. Really working hard from Bud to catch up to Johansson. Is the gap going to drop as we come around sector 2? It would seem likely. Are we going to see a move? It would seem likely. Our predictions were right. This is going to be a fight for 4th. I hope it goes right down to the wire.
And down to the wire it will, I think. Johansson going to be looking scared now. That car is coming closer and closer in the rearview mirrors. Almost within dive bomb distance. Almost. Maybe next lap.
Almost. Maybe next lap, definitely the lap after that. We've probably not got too many laps to go, maybe 3, depends how quick the leaders get round, but it's down to 1.2 seconds. That is not a big gap at all.
Let's see how he fares through these last few corners with the chicane. Will he do it any better this time, or will he have another car upset? It looks to be
Let's
cleaner.
have a look. He keeps it clean. He's learned his mistake. Cav Bud is going to be thinking, I can see that McLaren now. He's in range. That is definitely overtaking range for a dive bomb. A good slipstream, a little bit of a good exit out of the corner. 1:44.8 for Bud. That is 1/10 off his personal best now. He's lining up the move. Is he going to make a break for into turn 1? He steps out of the slipstream. Here we go, down to turn 1. Cav Bud, is he going to make a move? Not quite. Just keeps it behind. Not quite late enough on the brakes. He knows he's got a couple more chances, but not too many. He can't be too complacent now. Just sitting behind that McLaren, hoping, praying for a mistake from the McLaren driver. But Johansson has been so consistent for most of the season. That would seem unlikely. Is he having a look up the inside? He's running the inside line. He's just positioned the car so well there. Put the power down up the inside as the helicopter tracks them round the top of the hill, round the outside into the left-hander.
No, deep. Johansson gets back ahead. Oh, and that is not ideal at all. Luckily, Cav Bud managed to save it. I reckon that's going to be going to the steward's office, though.
That is definitely going to be going to the steward's office right there. The gap was down to less than a second, well under a second as he came into turn 1. And then lovely little side-to-side action for both cars. Johansson just stepping out of line and getting it tangled up with the Honda. I don't know who could call that as an instant fall, but it's definitely going to end up going to the stewards.
Yes, but because Cav managed to save it just in the nick of time there, it's not completely cost him this chance at 4th. He can try again on the next lap, I think.
Yes, the gap is under a second. That's what's important. He's still under the gap. Let's hope neither of the cars has too terminal of a damage, as we see that Cav Bud is catching right back up again. Different lines through the first part of the chicane into the proper chicane at the end of the lap. Lots of sausage curbs being gotten close to. Is he going to have a look up the inside through the last corner? They'll be side by side onto the pit straight. Here we go. That is the Honda ahead of the McLaren. There we have it. Cav Bud has taken P4 just ahead of Johansson. Now, Johansson's got to decide, does he have the pace, does he have the traction, does he have the tyre life and the car health to fight back? Will we see him move into turn 1 for the McLaren? Not quite just yet, biding his time. We've still got 1:45, probably 2 laps I reckon, to go off this race and off the championship. This battle is really hotting up now, as I think Cav Bud, is he going to pull away? I think the pace, that Honda, he's still got the pace.
It does look like he still has the pace. I reckon in just a couple of corners here, he will be well and truly ahead. And yeah, it looks like Johansson is really struggling there with some understeer. So Cav Bud taking 4th place there. And this is now the final lap. Ben Gilroy's going to start his final lap. So Cav Bud, just in the nick of time there, gets 4th place.
Yes, here we go on to the final lap for Ben Gilroy, Cav Bud and Johansson. I've got 2 laps to go. Half a second is the gap between 4th and 5th. I think that is pretty much race over for both of them. They are both going to sit there unless Johansson finds a sudden amount of pace or Cav Bud decides to eat a little bit too much sausage curb going into that last chicane. It should be pretty sealed for both of them now. As we see, Cav Bud just dodges Johansson, who goes very, very deep into the chicane.
Have another look at that.
Sorry. Is it a lock-up? It might well be. I think that was very, very close to the McLaren. That could have ended disastrously badly for both of them. I really hope that wasn't an intentional mistake. That wasn't intentional. That was a mistake now, as that gap is basically, well, that's over now for Johansson. Any chance of P4 is done, all gone out the window. Cav Bud has sealed the best of the rest award once again in his Honda. as we see Ben
it
Gilroy.
did look like Johansson was probably just looking too hard at Cavbud's car there, and then forgot to brake. That is what it looked like to me.
Yes, I think that is the right assumption. As the clock hits 0 now, yes, we're nearly at the end now as Cavbud is going to be relieved. But here we cut back to our championship winner. He won the first round, he won the second round, he won the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Took all the sprint races wins as well on top of that. Ben Gilroy has been the driver. Oh, -1. Sorry about that. I'm mistaken. He's not quite got the perfect season, but he's going to win the feature race in Barcelona. Round the last corner. Here we have it. Championship drive from our champion, Ben Gilroy, crosses the line to take the feature race win in Spain. That is an endurance race for Ben Gilroy. Another one to add to his belt. 42 laps, 75 minutes. Here comes our next couple of finishers of Ryan Shea, a couple of laps down, and Ollie Goldsmith, second place for him. Another podium to add to his silverware. Not quite what he was after today after qualifying, but still an excellent result for Goldsmith, who has driven such a good season this year in that Porsche, really keeping that Porsche successful trio alive. Ryan Shea also deserves a shout out. Good race from him. Not too many laps down, not too many mistakes. What we need from just a consistent driver out there having a good time. And here we go, Cameron Searle. Not the race he was after, putting in an absolute storming pace towards the end there, coming across to take that final podium and complete the Porsche trio. What a race from him to come back from so bad. And here we have it, Cavbud, your alumni class champion, he's been in the wars today. He's had fights left, right and centre, up and down the grid. An absolutely deserving drive from our alumni champion, as I just said. He rounds around the last corner for the final time this spring series to bring it home in fourth, best of the rest. And an excellent drive with a good couple of overtakes from him to bring it home in fourth. And our final finisher, Anton Johansson, comes home in fifth.
There we go. Some donuts from Ben Gilroy. Well deserved at the end of the season, and some contact there with Cameron Searle.
Yeah, there we have it. Championship donuts. You know, it's motorsport, you know, tradition almost at this point that you find a nice patch of tarmac and you absolutely torch your rear tyres just because you can. There we go, a little bit more contact. The drivers letting their hair down now as the race has come to an end. What an amazing season that was. And there is our champion doing some donuts in a field in the grass just off the side of the track.
Fantastic end to the season, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, a good end to the season there. Love that fight between the Honda and the McLaren right at the end. It was a really good race. We didn't have the highest entry list, but I think we made the most of the cars. We got to see really the excellence of our top three there, with each of them shining at different moments throughout the race.
Absolutely. And I think it's probably time for some interviews if anyone's interested. Let's see. I'm thinking top three as always. Let's see if they're interested.
Yes, it'd be nice to speak.
I believe we've only done one set of interviews, maybe two this season on ACC so far.
Yes, I remember I interviewed them last season. They all seemed pretty excited about it. It's also good to hear from the drivers their tactics. Maybe they did plan to go longer and something happened that we don't know about because we can't see every car for every minute of the race. So I'd like to talk to some of them. If not, it's understandable though. They've all got to go off and drink some champagne now.
Yeah, well-deserved champagne from the podium. They will be in a debriefing, I believe, first. So, to sum up, that was a fantastic race from the start to the very end. We had battles through and through, and Johansson giving us some real hope there for a podium. I think he drove very well, however, just couldn't manage it towards the end, unfortunately for him. And yeah, no, very well driven by all the drivers there. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say. And if you have anything to add real quick before we go into interviews.
No, I just want to say thank you to the production team and the drivers there for putting on such a good race. They've really shown that this is a good, strong championship, even when numbers are low. But I think now we're going to turn to some interviews here. Hopefully we'll get our entire podium in. If not, we've definitely got a couple I can see waiting to be interviewed.
Who was in third place? I already forgot.
Cameron Searle was third. Yes, Cam came through to get third place. If you want to try and interview him first, we can have a go. If not, it would be Owen in second.
Yes. Okay. So let's annoy Cameron Searle. He just started a live stream on Discord, so I'm going to annoy him and drag you in. Hello, Cameron.
Hello.
Congratulations on P3. Not quite the race start you were looking for, I'm sure, but talk us through it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I had a bit of fun. I was like thought I'd have a bit drop down for the race start from last. But then I got stuck behind Cav, and his tyres died quite early, to the point where I think he was playing more Need for Speed than ACC. And we just tangled at turn 2, but then it was just on my own, just hot lapping, try and race Anton for third.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could have been up in P2 if you'd started the race almost at the front, or were you kind of set your sights on that P3 and hoped to get it and then got it in the end, or was it always?
With that success penalty, it was P3 max, I'm afraid. I did take a couple of seconds out of Owen overall, sort of post getting past Cav to end once the success penalty had been served, but no, it wasn't on the cards with that penalty.
Well, it's still a very good race to come home with P3 from last place, and I'm glad to watch you hot lap towards the end. That was quite fun watching you absolutely push that Porsche to the max.
Yeah, it was fun, although we were more watching the map for Cav's racing.
Yes, it was a good race from Cav and also a lot of sliding, as you said.
Yeah, he was having a bit of fun with the rear.
I must ask, how much damage did you get from that incident?
I was quite lucky. It was only, I think, 4.7 seconds. It was just a little tap to the front right for me. Cav got about 7 seconds, but it wasn't major. It was more just bounce and sort of correct. I think he came off worse with the angle that he was facing, but that was the worst of it.
Yeah, because it did look like quite a big shunt there, but maybe that just looked bigger on our screens than from your perspective.
It was quite a big shunt, but where we actually made contact, there wasn't much damage.
That's good to hear, because we don't want to see too much damage. A little bit's fun, because that makes the cars unpredictable, but not too much damage.
Yeah, no, but it was fun race.
Yeah, and would you say you're satisfied with the season? I don't exactly know where you finished after all of the races.
I'm counting it as P1 because it is P2 overall. I needed the P3 today to sort of stop it. Unless Owen won, it was P3 to get second. But it's Ben's racing, so it's for P1 overall for me. Or P1.5, I'll say.
That is very fair. Ben has had some quite strong races this season, so I think you have achieved quite a lot just by staying on the podium when he's also there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been a consistency. I think we've had the top 3 pretty much every time except Austria, but it's been a good season for the Porsches. And
will you be coming back for the summer season?
I'll have finished uni, so it's my last one as a student on NSC, but I'll be staying around.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you back on track in the summer then, and good luck in the rest of your Formula 1 races that are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. I thought you were going to wish me some bad luck. It's about time, but thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Owen. So shall we get him in here now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can do words.
You've got this.
Hello, Owen. There. Congratulations on P2.
General Kenobi, whoever said hello there.
Yes.
Yeah, so how did you find today's race? I know you led at the start, but Ben was always looming behind you. Did you think you had a chance against him, or was it always P2 is what you were hoping for?
Nah, P2 was always really it. I've done no practice for this week. I woke up from a quick snooze not too long before the race started and had to scramble to get my PC in rig mode, as I call it, where I mount it onto a boom arm and wheel out a sim rig lengthwise against the desk. Now, I've had no practice. Catalunya, not really one of my better ones, and the Porsche is just, oh god. Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, you're complaining about all your lack of practice in the Porsche, but you still managed a very solid P2 ahead of Cameron there, so it kind of been that bad.
Yeah, I mean, overall the result I'm happy with. Just the car was a right handful to drive. Again, snaps under brake. I think multiple times, and this allowed Ben to get through. It just either didn't want to stop, or ABS kicked in too much, or it locked up, or in the hairpin, it just... I don't know. I guess the best way to describe is it bottomed out or something. It's just the brakes did not work, and then yeah, it just went wide. It's a fun car to drive, don't get me wrong. Engine sound is amazing and it's a beautiful thing, but definitely not suited for this track. But yeah, no, as you say, P2 is still an absolute solid result despite not really doing much prep.
If you're going to be racing in a future championship, would you consider changing your car? And if so, what would you change it to?
Oh, 100%. That would then come down to some experimentation of my own accord. I've driven Aston, I've driven BMW, Ferrari, Porsche. I made a vow to myself I will never drive McLaren because of how it's too easy. I want something that's a bit of a challenge, but not something like McLaren where it's just, you can just go rapid and it's almost easy mode. Then again, maybe. I don't know, maybe I'll break my vow and just say, screw it, throw caution to the wind and try. Now, I need to see what gels well with me, but I might go back to Ferrari. Who knows? We'll see. I've got plenty of time to experiment before summer kicks off.
Fair enough. And yeah, congratulations on P2 today. Did you have any other thoughts about the race? Like, did you think with the success penalties that perhaps Johansson could have challenged you for P2?
Honestly, not really. Based off of like the early lap times, I could see Johansson was doing 46, 47s. Myself, I was anywhere between high 44 to mid 45, I want to say. If anything, I felt like I was more under threat from Cameron and Cav behind, but no, just I pulled it out and then gained a gap. I believe they had contact or an incident somewhere, not entirely sure what happened, but no, that gave me even more breathing room. And then, to be honest, I was kind of just driving on my own for the rest of the race, just knocking out the laps. I wasn't really pushing. I wasn't really doing anything too hardcore, I guess is the right word. No, just trying not to crash the car, really, which easier said than done in this thing. It's definitely a handful, especially when for some reason my tyre pressures were like 0.6 over in the second stint. Not entirely sure why. But yeah, no, as I said, I'm just happy with the result. Just a bit of a more quieter race with less people, but still, can't complain nonetheless.
Very good to hear.
Yeah, go on, Dan.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that you still managed to find upsides of what you would call a less successful race. And do you think that reflects your season, that it was a good but not a great season, or are you happy with all the podiums and coming home reasonably high in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to it at the end of the day. I mean, of course, I'm happy to... I think I'm going to end up P3 in the title. P2 definitely could have been something I could have fought for a lot harder. Monza sprint, I just made a really silly mistake and touched the grass, and that was me into the wall. Watkins, I absolutely loved the thing. Brands, I did no practice for and also severely struggled in the wet. That and my mind wasn't really in it that day. What was round 4? Spa, was it? No.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Spa, if my wheel hadn't disconnected, I could have been higher up. Thankfully now QR2 is installed as well as a V2.5. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that isn't an issue for me in the future. No, but I mean, Spa was an okay race in of itself. And then, as I said in the general chats of the actual season last week, I wasn't here due to work calling me in. I actually need to go back and watch the stream for that one. And then, yeah, today just more or less a quiet one, just cruising around and yeah, just waiting for the timer to run out, really. Definitely some improvements though, as I say. Just I need to find a car that suits my style of driving and suits how I like the car to be set up, so I can just extract that performance out of it, and who knows, maybe challenge for the actual P1 in the future. But a lot of work to be done.
Well, I think we'll both agree that you are quite rapid out there, so best of luck to you in the future in ACC and in the upcoming Formula 1 races that you still have to do for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, no, I'm hoping for a good return to form after how Austria went for me on Saturday.
Well, in that case, yeah, best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you here soon again.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, let's get on with our championship and race winner, Ben Gilroy. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
Congratulations on yet another win.
Thank you, thank you.
You had a little bit of a troubled start there at the start of the race, but it looked quite easy for you to come back. So talk us through the start.
Yeah, so I was just going through my normal, usual strategy of starting, and I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if because I went across to the racing line, it opened up the door, but I ended up getting squeezed out and lost 2 positions. So at least it made the racing interesting, you know. But I knew I had the pace, so it was just a matter of time and just being patient, overtake one car at a time, and yeah, just build a gap from there.
Can I ask you about qualifying quickly? I know that's assuming a long time ago. Was there a reason you only came out and did one qualifying flying lap? Or were you thinking about maybe doing a last to first challenge and then decided, I'll just stick it on pole?
Yeah, originally I was thinking of last to first, but with the time penalties, I wasn't 100% sure that it was possible. So right at the end, I decided to go for a lap, see what I could get, and yeah, stuck it on pole.
Yeah, it's definitely a champion's lap there, just to get half a second clear after basically no previous lap setting qualifying. So very well done for that. But onto the race now. How did you think it went? You know that you spent most of a good chunk of the early race chasing after other people, and then sort of got back to your home spot of first. Were you always expected to win even after that start?
No. I mean, Owen's pace was really good, and being behind him at the start made it more difficult because I could only start building at 15 seconds when I was in front. So once I got in front, each lap I was looking at the timings, trying to figure out if I could make it. And then by the pit stops, somehow I managed to just beat him out of the pits. So that was definitely helped my race, but it could have ended totally differently.
Well, I'm glad for your sake that it did end the way it ended for you, and that you at least managed to get those 15 seconds once you got past the cars in front of you. It made a very good race, so thank you for that at least.
Thanks.
So including drop rounds, I believe you have had pretty much a perfect season.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Are you going to try and replicate it again in summer in the Porsche, or are you going to change car for a challenge?
I don't know if I'll race in the summer because I'll be working, but I'll see. If I have time, I might join, but I definitely won't have as much time as I do now. So, you know, I probably won't be fighting for the wins, but just participating, bringing up the numbers, that'll be fun.
Well, we'd love to see you for any rounds that you can make.
Cheers.
Yeah, once again, congratulations on the race win, and congratulations on the championship that you sealed last week. Yeah, probably undisputedly one of the best ACC drivers we've had.
Thank you.
And yeah, if we don't see you soon, then best of luck in the future, and hopefully we do see you here at some point again. And best of luck in any future championships.
Thank you. Thank you for the streams, by the way. They've been great over the season, so thanks for putting in the time there.
No worries. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
All right, and I think that pretty much sums up this season. Any final thoughts?
I just want to say it's been an honour to be here commentating alongside different people from the league, and also to watch these incredible drivers do some incredible racing. And I hope that I'll be back soon commentating on something else, whether it's ACC or different championships, who knows. But it's been an honour. Thank you very much.
Well, we'd love to have you around more, Dan. You've been a great commentator here on ACC, and I'm sure you'll be a great commentator on other championships too. I had some sentence I wanted to say to like close out this championship, and it's gone.
Oh well.
But yes, I think we can agree that was a pretty good end to the season. We do have, however, 3 championships left to finish this season. We have got F1, 2 weeks of that left, I believe. I think there's only 2 weeks of every championship left. iRacing, and third one, we have got EAWRC. If you're interested in any of our championships, then head over to busr.gg/Discord and join our lovely community. We would love to have you on board and race against you. And if you think you've got it, fight for these wins. But yeah, other than that, well, I've been Dan and you've been Dan. We're both Dans. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say. So if you've got nothing else to say, then thank you all for watching. Do hit that like and subscribe button whilst you're here, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
And no moment in history where I could stand and say, British begins here, now.